Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Joy of Sticks. Stickhead here with your Atari ST gaming channel, and we're finally there. We've made it to the top 10 at last. Absolute bangers from here on in. Hope you enjoy the list, guys. Take care.
Number 10.
Super Sprint was an overhead racing arcade game released by Atari Games in 1986. The game was a successor to the Grand Track 10 and Sprint series of games, and built upon the excellent gameplay of those black and white machines by adding high-resolution colour graphics. This capability was thanks to the Atari System 2 arcade board, a board that had previously powered Paperboy and 720. The arcade cabinet also featured a free spinning steering wheel for each player, along with foot pedals for accelerating. So how on earth would the ST host such a game? With no way to emulate the hardware or recreate the high-resolution graphics, the developers here worked nothing short of magic in scaling everything down to fit the ST's 320 by 200 resolution, as well as making sure the gameplay remained intact after being translated to digital input methods. In Super Sprint, 4 cars are pitted against each other over 8 tracks, each progressively more complex. The players must finish ahead of each drone car in order to qualify for the next race. The game starts incredibly easy, with a straightforward track and very little competition from the AI racers. However, it doesn't take long for things to heat up, as the CPU cars gain speed and hazard starts to hinder your progress. These hazards include whirlwinds and oil spills that spin you wildly, water puddles and cones that slow you down, and moving barriers and gates that will crush your car. It's not all bad out there on the asphalt though, as you can also pick up point bonuses and spanners to help you along. These spanners are an absolute must if you're going to keep up with those ever quickening drone cars. Collect the requisite number and you've earned a trip to the local Quick Fit for an upgrade. But then what do you choose? Better tyres for increased traction, or a nitro boost for that acceleration? And ooh, those furry dice look very fetching. One of the overriding memories I have on Super Sprint is on one track in particular, where you could smash your opponents into the sidewall and they wouldn't respawn as they normally would, allowing you to explore the track at your leisure. Me and my cousin would do this and then make up our own minigames to play on this level for hours, be the first to get the spanners and bonuses, or even play a game of in-car TIG. It's a testament to the game's appeal that beyond racing or making progress, we just wanted to play the game for the driving's sake. It's so much fun just to control the cars. They handle perfectly, and mastering when to let go of the accelerator to drift around those corners is an absolute joy.
Number 9.
When rock stars die young, they become legends. And that's helped in no small way by the fact that we never got to see them grow old, live through the 80s, or have an embarrassing dalliance with electronic music. FTL are the video game equivalent of rockstars for me. I mean, they were only around making games for a short time before moving on to other pastures. About 10 years or so is all we got from faster than light games before they ceased operation. But boy, what a 10 years we had. They released banger after banger after banger. Their back catalogue is all killer no filler. Sundog, Dungeon Master, Chaos Strikes Back, and Oids. Oh, pure gold. Oids was released on the ST in 1987 and would become one of the few games we could throw at those pesky Amiga owners in the playground, as they never got a version of this brilliant shoot-'em-up. I say never, but some git did reverse engineer it and released it for the Commodore machine in 2014, so yeah, we haven't even got that boast anymore. I mean, what are we supposed to use as ammunition now? Enduro Racer? In Oids, those fiendish biocretes have been at it again, enslaving the poor Oids and using them as vending machines and household appliances. At least that's what the box says. How exactly do you use a person as a vending machine? Anyway, I guess it's down to you to do something about it, and that something is blasting. Lots of blasting. This blasting occurs in a rather pleasant mix of asteroids, gravitar and lunar lander gameplay. See, you must make your way across the planetoid surface, ridding it of its defences, whether it's repulsor towers, turrets, missile silos or pesky trees, and then destroying the prisons that hold our lovely Oids captive. Then you can land on the nearest flat surface and bob's your mum's intergalactic alien overlord, you've saved the day. Of course, it isn't as easy as all that. You have to master the inertia of the ship, get the rotation just right, and then there's that twat Gravity who comes along just to muck everything up. The git. The aesthetic of Oids was an absolute feast for my young eyes. I loved stuff like this. Even before I knew this game existed, the back of my school exercise books were riddled with little alien landscapes populated by ships blowing 7 shades of snot out of each other, all drawn with appropriate sound effects. Pew, pew, pew. It was like FTL had somehow got hold of my Year 4 science book and made a game out of it. And then they gave me a level editor so I could make my jottings become a reality. Incredible stuff.
Number 8.
I'm not sure why everyone is so keen on building churches, synagogues and gurdwaras, when really we should just be exalting at the shrine of the Grand High Jeff Crammond. I mean, there must be some kind of divine intervention going on in that man's back catalogue. Have you seen it? I mean, turning water into wine? That's nothing compared to getting revs running on a BBC Micro. Jeff would go on from revs to create a stunning career in digital representations of motorsports, stopping off to make Sentinel on the way, which, incidentally, I've never really played properly due to a deep-seated terror the game inspired in me as a youth. Oh, is he watching? Oh no. After revs and Sentinel, he moved on to Stunt Car Racer, brilliant, then Formula 1 Grand Prix, also brilliant, and after this he pretty much stuck to Grand Prix games and was one of the last developers to maintain the honour of having his name affixed to a game, which is quite an honour when you consider that by the time of Grand Prix 4, games were being worked on by scores of people. So what makes Formula 1 Grand Prix so special? Well, the devil, they say, is in the detail, and Formula 1 Grand Prix was the most comprehensive Formula 1 simulation to date. Nothing even came close to the lavish detail on offer here. It was a motorsport geek's wet dream. The game is fully 3D with gorgeous filled vectors. It implements real-world racing physics. It has accurately modelled cars and tracks, adjustable camera settings, realistic TV-style replays, driving assists that could be slowly turned off to help noobs like me learn how to drive, and the really juicy bit, a plethora of options to tune the car to your own driving style and demands of the track that would actually make a difference to how the car handles. Oh, suits you, sir. The game was so good, it inspired one of the earliest examples of an online community. Huge competitions were organised via CompuServe, and a healthy modding community grew out of that passion. Absolutely seminal.
Number 7.
Another racing game, but quite a different beast, this one. The only real criticism that could be levelled at F1 GP, that it was a tad slow, certainly could not be levelled at Lancor's incredible racer. It absolutely flies. I've said in a previous entry, for the much revered Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge no less, that a racing game lives and dies by its sense of speed. Well, if it's a sense of speed you're after, look no further. High speeds and smooth frame rates make Vroom absolutely electric. There really isn't anything that comes close to this on the ST. And this isn't the kind of game where you can just floor it and forget it. Oh no, do that and you'll be in traction for the remainder of the racing season, son. The speed that Vroom offers must be tamed like some kind of mythical beast. If you let it, it'll chew you up and spit you out. No, the speed is there, tantalisingly within reach, but you must learn to control yourself. And control is quite a consideration here. I've heard people say that the mouse is the only real way to control this game, and although I'm utterly terrible at using the mouse in this game, or any racer for that matter, I tend to agree. For me, as I've alluded to with these ridiculous analogies and hyperbole, it's the control of the speed that's most important, and with the mouse, and no small amount of skill, you can get just the right amount of throttle or braking to really master the tracks. Another thing that Vroom nails, appropriately enough given the name, is the engine sounds. The ST is pretty terrible at engine sounds on the whole. Other racing games either fart at you relentlessly or noisily and obnoxiously buzz continuously. I wouldn't go as far to say that Vroom's engine sounds are realistic, but they certainly add to that feeling of speed and control. And there are other great touches that all play into this sense, this feel of breakneck speed. The way the sound changes when you're in a tunnel, or the way track side objects whoosh past you if you get close, and the way the car's suspension react to accelerating and braking, all add to the experience in their own subtle ways. It's definitely one of those gestalt things going on here. Now, it's not often that the ST gets the definitive anything in the 16-bit era, so let's enjoy it while we can. The definitive 16-bit racing experience, right here. Come and get it.
Number 6.
Originality is a rare and beautiful thing, especially in the gaming world, where any success is sure to be iterated upon legitimately and illegitimately until we're all sick to death of it. But Lemmings is one of those ideas that must have sounded utterly bonkers when said out loud or written down on paper. It's crazy. Lemmings pop out of a trapdoor and you must guide them to safety by giving them jobs to do. Simple really, but except it isn't, because these little bastards are really good at getting themselves killed and will walk happily towards their doom unless you do something about it. The jobs you can give your little band of blue and green idiots are many and varied, and it's up to you to select the most apposite in order to save enough of the buggers to pass the level. You can tell them to dig, build bridges, block other lemmings, climb, or even, if you're sadistic enough, just explode. Now, I'm not proud of this, but hey, I could have been outside ripping the wings off Daddy Longlegs like the so-called normal lads, but one of my favourite things to do in this game was use blockers to get the lemmings packed into the smallest space possible, and then press the nuke to watch the rodent-fueled explosions bore down deep into the earth. And it never did me any harm. So, we've already got the ingredients for a tip-top game right here, but where Lemmings gets really good, and I mean world-beating, spectacularly good, is in the level design. The start of the game is quite tame in a really excellently designed way. No tutorial hand-holding here, just a simple level with a simple obstacle and the lemming skills you need to overcome it. Bam! Lesson learned, bring on level 2. A bit later on, these puzzles will get combined in devious ways, or the puzzle will look easy, but the game hasn't quite given you the right lemmings you would need to make that level easy. Later on, you'll be tearing your hair out and cursing the name of every last person who worked at DMA Design for the utterly disgusting levels they came up with. But you'll keep playing. The solution never quite feels out of reach. You know you have all the tools you need to find the solution right there in front of you, and it's just a matter of finding the right combination. It's ingenious.